Hi, this is Ina Calder with InDe'B Quilt Shop, and I have a very fun um, banner for y'all to see here. Let me turn this a little bit so you can see it a little better. Um, you can do it as a banner like this with just the tree, and there's two more stars, but I'm going to show you how to make the two stars appear. Or it also comes as a banner, and so I am making the banner. So this is half of the banner that's there. I had so much fun making this and learned so much, and there's really a lot of fun things to do. It does require 3 different rulers, okay? The first one is the Strippy Stars ruler by Creative Grids, and you use that to make the stars. And I'll show you how to do that a little bit later, okay? The second one that you're going to be using is the 4-inch log cabin trim tool. Okay, that's the second one. And this last one is the log cabin Curvy, the Curvy log cabin trim ruler. Okay, and so each of them work differently, but they're really fun to work with. So this fabric, obviously, this pattern obviously requires red fabric, white fabric, green, and then some gold, whatever. We are trying to put some kits together because that's sometimes a lot easier than trying to grab from your stash or get a bunch. But I did use a jelly roll of just greens that I had, and that's what I used for this. I had a jelly roll of off whites, and I just picked up some fat quarters for the red, okay? And then some fabric for the gold star that's up there. So when you're doing white on white, there's a couple of tips here that I can help you with, okay? One is, if you have, I don't know if you can see this or not. If you have dark jeans, you can put it on your jean and it will tell you, sometimes you can see that this is the right side up, that's the wrong side up, okay? But there's this cute little thing. We don't have them in our shop, but you can get them on Amazon because that's where I had to get them because I don't carry them there. But you can see how it lights up on one but doesn't on the other. So this is the right side. I don't know if you can see, it doesn't show up as well in this, but I just promise you, it works really great. So if you don't have anything, so you can always tell which side is the right side and which side is the wrong side. Because when you get these white on white strips, sometimes that's really hard to tell which one is which. Okay, so there's my tip on doing a white on white and working with that. We're going to start with our these squares. Okay, this one is totally green. It uses the 4-inch log cabin trim ruler, and the trim ruler does these 3 squares. It does this one, which is just all around like what we did. It does a courthouse one, and then it has this one that's on both sides. Yeah, so it would be like if you did this one, you would do like all dark here and you would do all white here. So it would help you to do all 3 of those blocks. We're going to use them for several blocks. Okay, the first one is the green. Okay, when I did this one, I start with my center little square right here. And then I had a multitude of these just cut with the fabric, the length that it tells you. With the fabric and the width that it tells you to do, okay? And then I would start with one, sew it on, cut it off, put the next one on, cut it off, put the next one on, cut off, put the next one on, cut it off. This is actually where the first one that I started with here, and then went around until I had 4 of them. And then I put it down and I trim round 1. So you can see that there's 1, 2, 3 layers. You have round 1, round 2, round 3 as you work with these. And you're only going to use, well, let me do this first. You're just going to use this side of the ruler, which is round 1. Round 2, you can't see because it's white outlined, and then round 3, so you can tell the difference in all of those. So let me also show you some other rulers that we used with this, other blocks we used with this. These blocks here are also made the same as the all green one. You just have white or red, and then you put them together like this, like they're the present center of the tree or something. And this one, you are leading with the white strips. See how they're longer than the red strips are here? And in these, you lead with the red strips because they're longer than the white strips. that are, this is that first layer here, and that's that first layer there. Okay, so that's the difference in those when you're making those. And you just have to remember which ones you're working with and which ones you're not. I found it easier for myself to just use the same pattern of the red or the white, and it just kept me, I just knew I had to do 2 sides, then turn around and do 2 sides. And so you just have to know which one are you starting with, and that's what you go with. Okay, so let me come down here and let me talk about this ruler. Okay, so this one, I have all of my rounds, and when I start with round 1, I would start right here with this one right here is round 1, and I would cut it all out for that round. Round 2, I'm going to move that up and put the center square in round 2, and you can see that white a lot better here. And then I know that this is my round 2, and I cut that all out. Okay, we're now going to do round 3, which is this black. I love that it gives you the words. You can see exactly what you need to do and where you need to cut. I also love that these log cabin rulers also give you all the stitching lines of everything, everywhere, whatever you're doing. And so you just want to make sure that when you put it in, that it's pretty much centered everywhere. And it's, you know, if you haven't starched your fabric or your 1/4 inch isn't exact or whatever, it's okay as long as it's all squared up to a 4.5 inch block at the end. So I'm going to cut this side, and we're just going to turn this around so it doesn't move. Double check it. We're all squared up. Here we go. Do this one and this side. So for me, because of the width of the strips I used, I didn't have very much to trim off at the very end. So I have that. So I'm going to put them with my stack of all my other blocks that I've done here. I have these red ones ready to go. They are exactly done the same, as I said, as the same as that. You use the same ruler. Now let's go to the Curvy log cabin ruler, and let me show you a little bit of this. As you look at this, you have narrow. You can see the word narrow right here. Narrow round 1, narrow round 2. You turn it around, you can see wide round 1, wide round 2. And then you probably can't see the white because I have it on white. There is your round 3 at the very end. Okay. So what that means is that you're going to have 2 different sizes of strips, and you can very well see that in this one. You can see that these are fatter strips and these are skinnier strips. Okay, this block has already been all done and trimmed down. When you're working with a curvy log cabin, you almost always start with a dark center, and then the first strips you put on are going to be your fat whites. You always lead with the fat strips. So you put your fat strips on first, then you put on the skinny, and then you cut down round 1. So let me show you how to do that. Here is my first round. I've got my center, put on my white, put on my second white, put on my green, and then a green. And you see that you put them on clockwise all the way around, okay? So when I cut this, I'm going to find my wide. This is the wide one right here. It says wide round 1. I'm going to put it right on top of that square. I'm going to line up any seam lines I can see anywhere on here. And I'm going to cut the wide side first, just 2 sides to that. Then I'm going to turn the strip around for me because that'll be easier. And I'm going to center this again on the narrow round 1. Again, line up those lines as best you can. And then you cut it down. Okay. So then you end up with a little square with the center offset. Once you've done that, then you're going to add your next round, your next 2 fat, 2 skinnies, okay? And I'm going to go now to wide round 2. So I look for the words wide round 2. I line up the block here as best I can. And sometimes it's a little wonky, but I'll tell you what, at the end, they're all 4.5 inch squares, so no one's going to notice if they're a little wonky. Okay, then I'm going to turn the block around. I'm going to go to the narrow side and do round 2 of the narrow side. So I have here, I line it all up. as best that I can, making sure this is like on the center here. Put this down, and I love these creative grips because they have gripper everywhere, so it makes it really easy to hang on to and to do your cutting. There's round 3, okay? And that's round 2. This is round 3. So here's round 3, and round 3, like I said, we're going to use that center square to cut. I just have to make sure that my ruler is turned, center square in the middle, but all the wide rounds are on the correct side as I do this. Okay. So then you put all this together, cut it, and then we're just going to put it around, leaving it all there together. Make sure I'm all lined up still everywhere as best as I can. Okay, and I'm going to cut that narrow on the narrow side. Okay, so there we go. So our block is all done. I'm going to put it with all the rest of our blocks that we have for the rest of our quilt. Okay, then you'll also have some that are like this. This one, you're doing a center of white, leading with green as the fat, white as the narrow. You just follow the directions. You're just going the opposite side, okay? These blocks are, these fat ones here are these blocks right here. So they are the bottom part of your tree. And these little skinny ones that you've been doing are the shelves of your tree. So it's really fun how you put that all together, okay? Okay, we got all those. Now, let's talk about the strippy stars. These are a little bit more complicated, but not much, okay? So let's talk about this. For each of these, you get a printout. Now, it doesn't look like this, but you can go online and print one out like this that is larger than the one that you get with the ruler if you want to do that. So if you lose the directions for your rulers, no worry. Creative Grid has them, and you can just go on their website and look at it. So this was a very good tool. This one is the Strippy Stars tool, and it tells you that if you have an unfinished block, finished block, tells you how many to cut and how many to cut here, okay? And if you're like me, that was very confusing. I'm like, I don't get this. I don't know how do I know what it is? Okay, so let's explain it this way. Let me take this star down. And I'm gonna line this up on my little ruler here, okay? So if you look on my ruler, this one is 6.5 by 6.5 down here, okay? It's your 6.5 is the finished side, or the finished size of this will be 6 inches. Right now it's 6.5, okay? So when you look at that line, you're looking at this line right here, which is unfinished 6.5, finished 6. And it tells you that for the star points, that's the little parts right up here, when you're working with them, you need to use the 2.5 inch line, okay, for this size of star. And what that means is that you're going to use this line right here, 2.5 inch to do it, okay? And you put it in. What I love about this one is that the points are floating. You're never going to cut off your points. And you get a perfect star every time when you do it. It's really just a fun one. I had seen somewhere that someone used one of this, and they figured out what size of squares they wanted, and they had done some really fun patriotic stars in a table runner. So a really fun one that you could easily decide and put together yourself, making that one. Okay, so let me turn this down and show you and walk you through this, okay? So I have some squares that are, I think these are 2.5 squares, 2.5 inches, right? I could just look down here, 2 inches square. So whatever size you have this, you're going to cut all of these 2.5 inches, and then you're going to have some other squares that you will use for making your, where's one that's finished and ironed? Maybe they're not, okay. that you'll have finished with your iron, with your squares. I mean, when you're making your stars right here. Okay. So I'm going to start with the square that I will be making for the stars. And what you want to do is you're going to take, make sure that you're on the back side. So I don't know if you can tell the difference, but I can tell the difference. This is the back side. Okay. This is a 2-inch. So I'm going to take this ruler and go to the 1.5 inch finish, because when I sew it all together, this square is going to be only 1.5 inches. That's why it was a little confusing. I'm going to take my Sew Line Tricolor pencil. I'm going to use the charcoal color, the dark color. And I'm just going to draw a line on the back side. Okay. And it can be as dark as you want it to be, because that is your sew line. You're going to sew right on that. So then I'm going to take, after I've done all 4 of them for each star, I'm going to take this and, following my directions here, the same direction it tells me to do it with the point down, I'm going to just kind of eyeball it, line this up here, and put it through. Now, if I weren't using this metallic fabric, I would put a pin in here and hold it in place. But since I'm using this metallic fabric, I don't want to put pinholes in my stars. So I'm not going to do anything on. But you would line them up, and you would just, I would line them up, put them all on, do about 1/4 inch all the way away, like this. And then I just start here, and I sew all the way down until I've done all 4 of them. Okay. Then I want to cut them in half. Not in half, but I want to cut them off. So I have, well, so like these were all together on one strip here. Okay. And also in here. And all I did was cut a line through. So I'm just cut through, and I did all these. Now, when you go to iron this, you're going to want to think you do this and that you pull it back like this and do it. Okay. And you don't want to do that. Okay. You want to put it down so that you see this fabric up, and then you're going to go down and press it on this side. Okay. When you get done, it looks like this. Okay. And the reason you want to do that is because you need to keep the shape of the square on the back. So you don't want to fold it over and go like this, because you no longer have the square. And we're going to use that square so that we can trim up our stars after we've cut them. I mean, sewn them together. I'm going to square that up. And I have my first point. So remember when I laid these all out, I had the square in the middle. I have a star point there. I have white here, white here. And then I'll go on to have, let's iron this one and this other one so I can show you how these look at the end. And you don't cut the white out from underneath it. You just leave it as part of the star. Okay, so let's square these up really quick here. Works better if you have the gripper side down than if you leave it on top, right? Okay, that one. Okay, and last one. I'll just have to ignore that bell. And there we are. Okay, so now I have all of my stars cut, and I'm going to put these here, and you're going to do your sew them together like you would a 9-patch. Okay, those 2 stars, you make 2 of them. We have the large one, and it goes, the large one's going to go right here. And then the 2 smaller ones are going to go on either side of that. Okay. And then if that's the banner and you're done. But if you want to do the other one, then you just swoop it the other direction And that's what the direction you put the tree on. The other side going the other direction, as you can see on this one right here. Okay, so I just want to tell you we have these pens on our website. Love these pens. They are the best markers I've ever seen. We have all of the rulers on our website, and we also have the pattern. Okay, so we hope that you like this and that it's helpful. And if you decide to make a comeback and you know, ask questions, look at it, how you put it all together. It's pretty simple, explanatory, how to line everything up as it goes there. Okay, don't forget to like, subscribe, and go to the bell, ding it, and change your notifications to all so you don't miss any more of our tutorials. And happy sewing. I love this. I can't wait to display it in my home for this Christmas. Have a great day.